What if an ordinary copper coin you have seen countless times holds historical secrets and details that most people never notice? Today we are examining the Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that transformed the landscape of American numismatics and remains one of the most widely collected series in the world. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the wheat cent marked the first time a genuine historical figure appeared on a regular issue United States circulating coin, replacing the idealized Native American profile of the Indian head cent. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin features the iconic portrait of the 16th president on the obverse and two stylized stalks of durum wheat framing the denomination on the reverse. For exactly 50 years, these small copper discs passed through the hands of Americans during times of extraordinary national triumph and profound global conflict. While millions of these coins were saved in jars, albums, and estate collections across the country, seasoned collectors know that the overwhelming majority of surviving pieces are simply common everyday pocket change worth only a few cents. However, hidden within this massive survival pool are exceptional examples, breathtaking condition rarities, and authenticated production errors that command extraordinary attention and realize remarkable prices in the collector marketplace. Careful examination of the strike quality, original mint luster, surface preservation, and certified grading separates the ordinary from the truly exceptional. As we explore four specific dates from this legendary series, you will understand the historical context behind their creation, the technical specifications that define their authenticity, and the rigorous standards utilized by advanced numismatics to determine their true market value. 1940 S. Lincoln Wheat Penny. The story of the 1940 S. Lincoln Wheat Penny begins at a moment of profound uncertainty and rapid transformation in American history. As the year 1940 unfolded, the United States was slowly emerging from the lingering shadows of the Great Depression, while across the Atlantic, the devastating realities of the Second World War were already reshaping the global landscape. Although the United States had not yet officially entered the conflict, the American economy was rapidly shifting toward wartime production, expanding industrial output and increasing the demand for circulating coinage in everyday commerce. The San Francisco Mint, identified by the small S mint mark located directly below the date on the obverse, was tasked with producing coinage to support the growing commercial needs of the Western United States. During this era, the San Francisco facility was highly regarded by collectors for producing coins with uniquely brilliant, almost proof-like luster, though strike quality could occasionally be inconsistent depending on the life cycle of the working dies. To properly evaluate a 1940 S wheat penny, one must first understand its original technical specifications. The coin was struck on a standard bronze planche consisting of 95% copper and a 5% mixture of tin and zinc. It possesses a standard diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a weight of 3.11 grams, and a plain unreeded edge. Because this coin was produced prior to the emergency metallurgical changes implemented during the war years, it retains the classic copper composition that earlier generations of collectors had come to expect. When examining this issue, specialists immediately focus on the sharpness of the strike. Due to the high volume of production at the San Francisco Mint, working dies were sometimes pushed beyond their optimal lifespan. Consequently, finding an example with fully defined details in Lincoln's hair, his beard, and the intricate parallel lines of the wheat stalks on the reverse can be quite challenging. A strongly struck coin will display crisp lettering along the rim and full definition in the motto, "In God We Trust," whereas coins struck from fatigued dies will exhibit a soft, almost muddy appearance on the highest points of the design, regardless of their actual state of preservation. Condition and surface preservation are the ultimate arbiters of value for the 1940 S. Lincoln cent. Professional grading services employ the internationally recognized Sheldon grading scale, which assigns a numerical value from 1 to 70 to indicate the state of preservation. Because millions of these coins were produced and immediately entered everyday circulation, lower-grade examples displaying heavy wear, flattened details, and dark oxidized surfaces are extremely common and generally trade for only a small premium over their face value. However, the numismatic market shifts dramatically when evaluating uncirculated, mint state examples. In addition to a numerical grade, copper coins receive a specific color designation based on the amount of original mint luster remaining on the surfaces. These designations include brown, red-brown, and the highly coveted full red. A coin designated as full red retains nearly all of its original bright copper brilliance, a state that is incredibly difficult to maintain over 8 decades due to copper's natural tendency to react with oxygen, moisture, and environmental contaminants. When an authenticated certified mint state example of the 1940 Wheat Penny achieves a grade of MS67 full red, it enters an elite category of numismatic rarity. At this exceptional level of preservation, the coin exhibits flawless, blazing luster, virtually no visible contact marks from the minting process, and a perfectly centered, razor-sharp strike. Such registry quality specimens are fiercely pursued by advanced collectors striving to assemble the finest known sets, and they can realize prices exceeding $1,000 at major public auctions. Beyond sheer condition, specialists also carefully inspect the 1940 cents for recognized die varieties, particularly repunched mint marks. Because mint marks were still punched into the working dies by hand using a steel mallet during this era, the mint employee would occasionally strike the punch more than once to ensure a deep impression. If the punch shifted slightly between strikes, a secondary overlapping mint mark would become visible under magnification. Authenticated repunched mint mark varieties add an exciting layer of historical manufacturing evidence and can carry a noticeable premium. However, collectors must exercise extreme caution. Artificial cleaning, abrasive polishing, and chemical dipping are frequently used by unscrupulous individuals to simulate the appearance of a full red uncirculated coin. Such alterations permanently strip the microscopic surface layer of the metal, destroying the original luster and drastically reducing the coin's value. For this reason, relying on independent authentication and certification by respected third-party grading organizations remains an essential practice for anyone investing in high-grade copper coinage. 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny represents a profound era of national relief, post-war recovery, and economic resurgence. By the time this coin was struck, the Second World War had concluded, and millions of American service members were returning home to rebuild their lives, start families, and fuel an unprecedented period of economic expansion. The year 1946 marked the beginning of a massive demographic and industrial shift in the United States, and the demand for circulating coinage skyrocketed as consumer spending surged. Consequently, the United States Mint produced an astonishing volume of pennies to keep pace with the rapidly accelerating economy. The examples produced at the main facility in Philadelphia, which traditionally omitted a mint mark on the Lincoln Cent series, numbered in the hundreds of millions. From a technical and metallurgical standpoint, the 1946 Wheat Penny is highly significant because it represents a complete return to numismatic normalcy following the turbulent wartime years. During 1940, the Mint had famously switched to zinc-coated steel planchets to conserve copper for the war effort. And in 1944 and 1945, the Mint utilized a slightly modified brass composition derived from salvaged artillery shell casings. By 1946, the Mint returned entirely to the traditional pre-war bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The coin maintains a standard weight of 3.11 grams and a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. Because the Philadelphia Mint was tasked with churning out coinage at an unprecedented rate, the quality control regarding the sharpness of the strike was often compromised. The working dies clashed, deteriorated, and were frequently overused, resulting in millions of coins that, even in uncirculated condition, display weak, poorly defined features. The evaluation of a 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny relies heavily on the nuanced understanding of condition versus rarity. Due to the massive mintage, a heavily circulated 1946 penny showing considerable wear on Lincoln's cheekbone and the tips of the wheat ears is considered a highly common historical relic, holding virtually no premium in the advanced collector marketplace. Yet it is precisely this massive production volume that makes pristine, top-tier surviving examples so exceptionally rare. Finding a 1946 Philadelphia cent that possesses a booming, uninterrupted cartwheel luster, a fully struck design with crisp details in Lincoln's hair, and zero distracting contact marks from being tumbled in massive canvas mint bags is a monumental challenge. Advanced numismatists recognize that the vast majority of uncirculated survivors fall into the MS-63 to MS-64 range, displaying noticeable abrasions, carbon spots, or dull, faded color. To command the attention of registry set builders, a 1946 wheat penny must achieve an elite certified grade, such as MS-67 full red. At this breathtaking level of preservation, the coin looks exactly as it did the moment it ejected from the coinage press, possessing a fiery, completely unoxidized copper brilliance. When such universally flawless examples appear in major auction houses, they can ignite fierce bidding wars, occasionally reaching prices well over $2,000. The disparity in value between a worn brown pocket change find and an authenticated MS-67 red masterpiece perfectly illustrates the foundational principle of coin collecting. Rarity is rarely dictated by age or mintage alone, but rather by the statistical improbability of a coin surviving the decades in an untouched, immaculate state. Furthermore, error specialists meticulously study the 1946 Philadelphia production for genuine manufacturing anomalies. Due to the rapid pace of striking, error coins such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets caused by misaligned blanking presses, and subtle double dies occasionally escape the mint's quality control inspectors. An authenticated major off-center strike, where a significant portion of the blank planchet remains visible while the design is shifted toward the edge, can command a substantial premium. However, collectors must remain highly vigilant against post-mint damage. Environmental corrosion, machine doubling caused by a loose die rather than an engraved error, and intentional physical alterations are routinely misidentified by amateur observers as valuable mint errors. True value is established through independent professional certification, ensuring that the coin has not been artificially recolored, harshly cleaned, or subjected to environmental damage that would disqualify it from numerical grading. Preserving a high-grade 1946 wheat penny requires meticulous care, strictly handling the coin by its edges to prevent acidic skin oils from permanently etching into the copper surface, and storing it in a climate-controlled environment utilizing inert, archival quality encapsulation. 1952, Lincoln Wheat Penny. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny transports us to the heart of mid-century America, a time characterized by both domestic prosperity and international tension. As the nation navigated the complexities of the Korean War and the escalating anxieties of the Cold War era, the American economy continued to operate at a robust, highly productive pace. The United States Mint was under constant pressure to supply enough circulating coinage to support the daily transactions of a rapidly growing suburban population, the expansion of vending machine technology, and the flourishing retail sector. The Philadelphia Mint, producing coins without a mint mark, struck a massive quantity of wheat pennies during 1952. Despite being over 70 years old, these coins remain relatively abundant in circulated grades today, frequently discovered in inherited collections, old jars of mixed change, and childhood coin albums. The technical specifications of the 1952 wheat penny remain consistent with the established standard for the series, struck on a bronze planchet composed of 95% copper and a 5% blend of tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams with a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. Because the Philadelphia Mint was operating at maximum capacity, the primary numismatic challenge regarding the 1952 issue lies in identifying examples that exhibit an exceptional quality of manufacture. High-speed, continuous striking often resulted in the rapid deterioration of the coin dies. As a result, countless 1952 pennies, even those pulled directly from original bankrolls, display a lack of sharp detail. Advanced collectors meticulously inspect the highest points of the coin's relief, specifically the lines in the upper wheat stalks on the reverse and the subtle contours of Lincoln's jawline and hair on the obverse. A coin struck from a fresh, newly installed die will exhibit a crisp, three-dimensional aesthetic, whereas a coin struck from a late-stage fatigue die will look soft, flat, and visually unimpressive, severely limiting its ultimate market value. The true numismatic theater for the 1952 Lincoln cent occurs at the absolute highest echelons of the grading scale. Due to the high mintage, everyday circulated examples displaying a brown, oxidized patina are considered common and serve primarily as inexpensive space fillers for beginner albums. The collector market firmly dictates that immense value is reserved exclusively for those exceedingly rare pieces that have survived the decades in a state of absolute perfection. To appeal to the most discerning buyers, a 1952 penny must be authenticated and certified by a premier third-party grading service and awarded a grade of MS66 or MS67 with the highly coveted full red color designation. Attaining a full red designation for a copper coin from the early 1950s is a remarkable feat of preservation. Copper is a highly reactive metal, and exposure to fluctuating humidity, airborne sulfur, or the improper storage conditions of old paper coin envelopes will inevitably cause the bright red mint luster to deepen into shades of brown, mahogany, or purple. When an unequivocally original, vividly red MS67 example of the 1952 wheat penny is presented at auction, it represents a microscopic fraction of the original mintage that managed to avoid both the friction of commerce and the chemical degradation of time. These elite condition rarities routinely command prices well into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, driven by the fierce competition of registry set collectors who demand absolute perfection. In addition to condition rarities, the 1950s era of Lincoln cents is famous among specialized collectors for a specific type of die break known as a BIE error. As the obverse working dies deteriorated under the massive striking pressure, small cracks would frequently develop in the steel. On the Lincoln cent, a highly common location for these die cracks to occur was between the letters B and E in the word Liberty, creating what appears to be a small, raised capital letter Y. While these BIE errors are technically considered minor die breaks rather than major spectacular errors, they have cultivated a dedicated following among die variety specialists and can add a modest but meaningful premium to the coin's value. Regardless of whether a collector is pursuing a pristine gem or an interesting die variety, the primary defense against financial loss remains professional authentication. Unscrupulous practices such as treating a brown, oxidized coin with harsh acidic dips to temporarily strip away the tarnish and simulate a red uncirculated appearance are unfortunately common. These chemically altered coins are immediately identified by professional graders due to their unnatural, grainy surfaces and lack of genuine cartwheel luster, rendering them virtually worthless in the high-end collector market. True preservation involves acquiring certified examples secured in tamper-evident, sonically sealed acrylic holders, ensuring that the fragile copper surfaces remain isolated from environmental hazards for future generations to appreciate. 1953 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny. The 1953 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted during a pivotal transition in American history, representing an era of post-Korean War economic stabilization, the dawn of the Eisenhower administration, and the rapid expansion of the American highway system and suburban lifestyle. Produced at the Denver Mint, located at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, this coin carries the distinct D mint mark situated just below the date on the obverse. During the 1950s, the Denver Mint developed a strong reputation within the numismatic community for producing coins with generally superior strike quality and more vibrant luster compared to their counterparts struck in Philadelphia or San Francisco. However, this reputation for quality was frequently challenged by the sheer volume of coins required to feed the booming national economy, leading to fascinating variations in the final struck products that continue to captivate collectors today. Like its predecessors, the 1953 D Wheat Penny adheres to the traditional bronze specifications, composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with a standard weight of 3.11 grams and a 19.05 millimeter diameter. When evaluating the 1953D, expert numismatics place a heavy emphasis on the visual aesthetics of the original mint luster. Denver mint cents from this specific time frame often display a thick, frosty, almost velvety brilliance that is highly prized by copper specialists. However, the rapid pace of production meant that quality control could fluctuate. While many examples exhibit the sharp, fully realized details in Lincoln's coat lapel and the intricate grains of the wheat ears, others suffered from dye deterioration, exhibiting heavy dye flow lines, dye clashes, and a general loss of crispness. A collector's ability to distinguish between a coin suffering from a weak, late-stage dye strike and one that possesses genuine friction-based circulation wear is a critical skill in determining the piece's actual grade and market potential. The value structure of the 1953 D Wheat Penny mirrors the broader realities of modern coin collecting: absolute abundance at the bottom of the condition scale, and extreme, almost unimaginable scarcity at the very top. Millions of these coins remain in existence in lower grades, showing the dark brown, slick surfaces characteristic of decades spent moving through cash registers and piggy banks. These circulated examples hold immense historical charm, but carry no significant monetary premium. The intense focus of the numismatic marketplace is directed entirely towards certified, fully uncirculated examples that have retained their original factory appearance. The highest echelons of value are reserved for coins graded MS67 full red by leading independent grading authorities. To achieve this monumental grade, a 1953 D cent must essentially be a miracle of preservation. It must possess completely undisturbed, fiery red luster, lack any distracting carbon spots or uneven toning, and be completely free of the deep scratches and contact marks that typically occur when coins are ejected into massive steel hoppers at the mint. When a flawless top population MS67 red example crosses the auction block, it represents the absolute pinnacle of condition rarity, often realizing thousands of dollars as registry set competitors bid aggressively to elevate the ranking of their collections. Beyond the pursuit of perfect preservation, the 1953 D Lincoln cent is deeply revered by error and variety specialists due to the prevalence of repunched mint marks, commonly abbreviated as RPMs. During this era, the mint mark was still applied to the working die by hand with a steel punch and a mallet. If the mint employee struck the punch, evaluated the impression, and decided to strike it a second time from a slightly different angle or position, a secondary mint mark would be engraved into the steel die. When that die was subsequently used in the coinage press, every penny struck would permanently display the overlapping D over D error. The 1953 D issue features several well-documented and highly sought-after RPM varieties, some displaying dramatic separation between the primary and secondary mint marks. An authenticated prominent RPM variety in a high uncirculated grade commands a substantial premium, bridging the gap between a condition rarity and a historical manufacturing anomaly. However, the presence of valuable varieties and condition rarities necessitates a strict adherence to expert authentication. The marketplace is unfortunately populated with altered coins, where counterfeiters have attempted to manually engrave mint marks, artificially apply chemical toning to hide surface damage, or aggressively polish coins to create a deceptive shine. Professional grading services utilize microscopic analysis, specific gravity testing, and decades of collective experience to weed out these altered pieces, providing a secure foundation for the collector market. For those fortunate enough to acquire a genuine, high-grade 1953 D Wheat Penny or an authenticated die variety, proper archival storage is paramount. Encapsulation in inert plastic holders, maintained in an environment with low, stable humidity and zero exposure to polyvinyl chloride plastics, ensures that these extraordinary copper time capsules remain preserved, allowing future generations to marvel at the intricate intersection of American history, industrial manufacturing, and numismatic artistry.